Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Gone are the days of wrestling with our favorite LJN wrestling figures, trying to convince them to stand up. What's a guy to do? I'll tell you what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get on Etsy and look up 4 Left 3D Creations and get yourself these amazing custom LJN figure stands. There is a custom stand available for every single one of your LJN wrestling superstar figures. Make your display shine by grabbing these custom LJN stands from 4 Left 3D Creations today.
What's up, guys? Jason up, New Age Revolution Cave for a LJN revisited video. That's right, we take a closer look at the world's greatest toy line, the LJN wrestling superstars. We take a look at each individual figure, or figures in this case. We talk about the history, we talk about my experience with play, we talk about did I care about the actual performer, did I ever meet them, any interesting stories I might have. And before we talk about the figures, we have to talk about the only way to display the figures. If I could just pick it up here with my little sweaty hands, the only way to display the LJN figures is by going over to Etsy and looking up 4 Left 3D Creations and getting your hand on some of these custom LJN stands. They make tag team stands, folks. That's right. What do you do with the tag team stands? Well, it's kind of like a puzzle. I assume that at some point in your lives, you've done a puzzle. You put this little puzzle piece together like so. I can't do it at this angle, but there you go. And now you have a beautiful tag team stand for the British Bulldogs, folks. That's right, 4 Left 3D Creations on Etsy. Because we're talking about the British Bulldogs, I would say possibly my most played with figures. I know we've had this discussion. I'm trying to hold the belt on so that it looks nice. I know we've had this discussion many times. What are my most played with figures? Definitely the British Bulldogs are up there. Tito Santana, Greg Valentine, Ricky Steamboat, Savage, Sheik and Volkov. Those are probably my most played with figures. Hogan, of course, you got to throw in. But the British Bulldogs got so much play in childhood. I loved these figures. I still love these figures. This is the first tag team set that I got. I never got the Hogan Hillbilly set. I didn't need it. I never got Valentine and Beefcake. I didn't need it. I had them single. You're not getting a 2-pack when you have the single figures. This is the first tag team box set I ever got. And the one tag team box set that I kept, that I still have. Yeah, right there. Trust me, it's right there. British Bulldogs. Love these figures, love them so much. Never met any of them. Loved them as wrestlers, loved British Bulldog matches, some Madison Square Garden matches with Bulldogs and Heart Foundation, or I don't know, Bulldogs and the Islanders. So great. So great. Both of these wrestlers are absolutely fantastic in-ring performers. I did like the career that Davey Boy Smith came back to have later on after the British Bulldogs with the dreads and the gigantic muscles. I liked that. The braids, not dreads, braids. The Intercontinental title run. I liked all that. And then Dynamite Kid kind of went in a different direction. Sad story, sad ending for him. Say what you want about him. I've heard all kinds of backstage stories about Dynamite Kid being an awful person. I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about the figures, folks. I'm talking about the figures. Played so much with them. They were constantly my tag team champions. And to show you the love that I had for these guys, they were constantly losing the tag team titles again, too, just so they could win them back. So they dropped the tag team titles to Sheik and Volkov and to Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake all the time. But then they'd win them back, and it'd be great. Funny story, so at Christmas of 87, Christmas of 87, I got the British Bulldogs. And what happened was, my mom had a bed that had kind of a weird storage unit underneath the bed. I want to say that it was a water bed, but I don't think it was, because it was in an apartment. I don't think you're allowed to have water beds in an apartment. So she had like a door. So she, there was a base on her bed, and then there was a door that you could put stuff under the bed. And that's where she would hide the non-Santa Christmas presents, of course, the ones that she bought. And I remember it was a Saturday in December, and I was watching wrestling. I kid you not. And during the commercial break, for whatever reason, I went up in her room and started snooping underneath the bed. And I saw the big, beautiful box, British Bulldogs tag team box. And I was so dumb, but so excited at the time that I came downstairs and immediately, out of the blue, said, at school on Friday, some of the guys said that they had a British Bulldog tag team set out. I want that for Christmas. And my mom was like, okay. So that's how I knew that I was getting the British Bulldogs for Christmas '87, because I snooped and found them and then came up with some stupid, like, hey, the fellas at school were talking about the British Bulldogs. But here's the thing. I didn't know there was a British Bulldogs 2-pack at Christmas '87. I had no idea. We didn't know that stuff back then. So imagine how surprised I am seeing this, weeks before Christmas under my mom's bed, this British Bulldogs 2-pack with belts, with brown belts. Up to this point, we'd only had the black belts. That's crazy. Brown belts. These figures got so much love and so much play. In fact, I have mentioned many times about how I don't have any childhood toys. We moved too much. And everything got lost, thrown out, whatever. I don't have any original childhood toys except for one. And let me interrupt the video professionally and show you. I've showed you many times. Don't worry, you're not seeing something that you didn't know existed, but I have the only toy that I have from childhood are my British Bulldogs. These are my original British Bulldog figures, the figures that I had beginning in Christmas '87. And they are, I'm going to show you some things. Well, you're not going to be able to see because it's faded. The one thing that you will see is that Dynamite Kid had a horrible hand injury. As you can see, Dynamite Kid's hand is mangled. I've told this story many times. I won't waste your time, but Dynamite Kid's hand was chewed off by a rat. No, we weren't living in poverty. We didn't have rats. I had a pet rat, and the pet rat got out of the cage and chewed my figures. And, well, if you look real close, you can kind of see rat teeth marks and little punctures from the rat teeth. You can definitely see rat teeth marks on Davy Boy Smith's little indentation there. The rat ate the figures. But folks, these are my original British Bulldogs, and they're so important, and I'm so happy to still have them. They're filthy, they're dirty, they're played with. In fact, if you look closely, Dynamite Kid, look in the corner of his eye right there. He's got a little ink. Why does he have ink? Well, because I drew face paint on them with pen, because I'm a moron. I drew face paint on them with pen and called them the Samoan SWAT team. At some point in not 87, I just got them. Maybe in 88, maybe 89, I was sick of using them as the British Bulldogs. I turned them into a bad guy Samoan SWAT team. Just by simply painting a little makeup or a little face paint on them with ink. And you can just see some remaining ink there on Dynamite Kid. That's why these are priceless to me. They're priceless because they're all I got from my childhood. Let's take a closer look at Davy Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid, the British Bulldogs, right now. All right, folks, there's a much better look at that custom LJN stand from 4 Left 3D Creations on Etsy. Davy Boy Smith, Dynamite Kid, the British Bulldog tag team display stands available at 4 Left 3D Creations on Etsy. Here they are, folks, the British Bulldogs. 2 of my most beloved figures, and these are a lot cleaner than my originals. Take a look. I think a great job on Davy Boy Smith. I think this captures very young, baby-faced Davy Boy Smith very well. The body fits Davy Boy fairly well. The play pose is fine. I have no problem with the figure's poses. The slightest problem that I have is with the size of Dynamite Kid. He's a tiny figure. He's a tiny figure. And I'll say it actually interfered with any kind of like singles push that Dynamite Kid would have gotten in my play, because he's so small. And, you know, again, this was before like cruiserweights and things like that. But Dynamite Kid's tiny, but looks good. I think Davy Boy's face looks a heck of a lot more like Davy Boy than Dynamite's face. But let's take a look. We've got Bulldogs down the side of their trunks. On one side, we've got the multicolored boots, the blue, white, and red boots, and that's the back. Same with Davy Boy. We've got Bulldogs down the pants, same color boots, black knee pads, in the uniformed British Bulldog look. I obviously had the red pants forever. I don't mind the red pants. I've seen customs of the Bulldogs in light blue and also white. Also look good, I'm sure. Tag team belts, awesome. Always lost, of course. Love to hear the dogs upstairs, that's fine. But there they are, folks, the British Bulldogs, my favorite LJN tag team set, my first LJN tag team set, and the only two figures that I still have from childhood. The LJN British Bulldogs.